This is wonderful. What
Well, it's
beautiful, and what a beautiful, intimate story about your drowning.
Yes, thank you for sharing.
yes.
Mm.
Well, thank you. Now, I would like to understand a little bit more about what takes place during your meditation practices that leads you to these experiences we've been talking about. I mean, I'm familiar, I've practiced transcendental meditation for many years. I've taught transcendental meditation, and then I have all the techniques of the science of creating miracles. However, you're doing something I think that's closely related, but it's something that I'd love to hear a little bit more about.
Yeah.
And do you want to have a go on this? Because I think you found phases to it, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I'll answer that question first from the practitioner standpoint, and then the ladies can talk about it from the experiential standpoint.
Yeah.
So, as I said, I've been channeling this for the last 20 years. My background is completely different. My background is marketing and strategy. So the spiritual aspect of me is much more recent, half that length of time. And in the early days, as to do it on a one-to-one or one-to group, a live basis, so to speak. I mean, it wasn't online, obviously, because this was 2023 or 24, 2003, 2004, when I started. It never occurred to me this could be done online. And it's only when COVID happened and somebody said, let's try to see if it works online, I realized it did. And that was a game changer because it opened up the world, literally. Instead of somebody being in the room, it could be anywhere in the world. And today I have women from maybe 20, 30 different countries who log on. So the meditation follows a set process, but something unusual happened in that I've noticed in the last 8 months. There's been a lot of change and subtle variation in addition to the meditation, which I attribute to Antonina's energy, because when she showed up, something clicked in me and I found that things move forward at a much faster speed. But essentially, what I do is I ground everybody and then energetically work on the chakras. So we start with the root and then go to the sacral, and then I kind of skip over the solar for whatever reason. I don't get much input for that. The heart chakra, throat chakra, and the third eye. Each chakra has its own work that's done. The sacral, of course, has a lot of blocked energy because of 5 centuries of oppression of women by men, in terms of burning them at the stake because they could heal people and they were nurturers and creators and all of that. So there's a lot of trauma around that which is being released. But some unusual stuff that happens when blockages, I get directions to ask the women to tune into the frequency in the throat chakra, for example, at which they created their soul mission, so that other members of their soul tribe could also tune into that same frequency and find them. And more recently through the void or the field. So it's not that you post on Facebook or social media and people say, oh, I want to talk to Antonina or Deb. It's the frequency to which they're drawn to, which we emit, but we don't really realize that. Anyway, so that's the first part, balancing all the chakras. And now comes the interesting part, doctor. That's why I call it a creator meditation. When you're only a female energy, you can think you create, but you can't because it's just female, right? So I bring in what I call a cosmic lingam, an energetic lingam, which actually energetically mates with the female energy, fulfilling the conditions for creation. Because then you have a male and a female. The conditions for creation are done. The ladies then choose an intent. And you must be surely familiar with the deity Maha Avatar Babaji, who was a big disciple of Lord Shiva. So he's the master who looks after this meditation. So then we go on a journey to visit him in his cave in the Himalayas. We sit in a creator's circle, holding hands. Very powerful energy builds up. I call it myelogasmic bliss. And then we give the intent of each person one by one to Babaji and walk away without looking back. So that's distancing ourselves, that's having detachment from the outcome. So, in other words, the outcome has been given to the universe, to the void, to the quantum field, to the master, and we don't visit it again. We thank him and we come back into our bodies and into the room, and then the meditation winds down. So that is the rough sequence of how it works, and it's just about 25 minutes in duration. So that's from the practitioner standpoint. Would any lady like to talk about, Elvira, would you like to talk about your experience, since we haven't asked you earlier?
Yeah, thank you, Dhiren. I just find, well, today I fell asleep just like Deb. And I feel that it's still working because it's all intention and everything's energy. So I just find that it's a really beautiful space to be in. Like you curate this really safe space for women to feel safe. I know one woman showed up a few weeks ago and she was really questioning and it was kind of funny to witness it because it's like, just go with it. Like, don't worry about the cosmic lingam and all that stuff. Just go with it. And so I just go with it. And I always feel lighter. I feel better. And miracles happen in my life every day, right? So, I mean, is this, meditation causing the miracles? Is it because I'm chief miracle magnet CMM? That's what my team calls me. What is it? It doesn't matter. Like I'm doing this work consistently. And this is just one piece that I get to add to my life that helps me to be more of a miracle magnet. And it's been a blessing since I've met you, Dhiren. And it was an honor to bring you onto Team Manifest and connect you with Dr. Larry. And and we're just moving along in this beautiful aligned space of co-creation and collaboration, and it just feels good. So I mean, I don't know if that adds anything to it.
Oh, it definitely does. And I'd like to comment on something that Dhiren was saying about you have a vision or an intention, and then you let go.
Mhm.
And as you know, in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, which are all about the science of creating miracles, you have desire, you have a faint impulse, and you let go. And that impulse dissolves into the conscious unified field and moves the conscious unified field. And that letting go is actually where the infinite expansion comes from. And this is something that is missed in so many different practices, where people are pushing something rather than letting go of it. And the process is called the Samyama in the Vedic language, Vedic Sanskrit, where it's desire and let go. And it's fascinating to me that you described that you're embodying that or envisioning that in the way that you go about this, that you have first you get down to that very, very fine level of unbounded awareness. And then you create a very faint impulse there, and then you let go of the impulse. And the mechanics of what happens there then is that impulse dissolves into the conscious unified field. It moves the conscious unified field, paradoxically, because it's a field of infinite silence beyond time and space, but it creates that ripple vibration there. And then that shows up in your lives. So that's the science of creating miracles. And that's the process that we examined in the quantum physics laboratory and showed, and we published it in physics journals and presented it at the American Physical Society, the professional organization of physicists. That's the process through which we create our lives. And all of the great spiritual teachers have said that throughout the ages. And now we've shown that in the laboratory, and you've shown it in your own lives. And I love what you said, Elvira, that it's like, it doesn't matter okay, does it come from this? Does it come from that? Does it come from you being a miracle magnet? It's all comes from the conscious unified field. So you don't have to worry about all of those details. You don't have to try to force any of those details. You simply live in that miraculous level of consciousness, and you become what you would call a miracle miracle magnet, miracle creator. So it's lovely hearing that.